Hi, I'm Rebecca Varidel. We're on RESCUTV and I'm really pleased to bring you into my world at the Star at Balla restaurant with my friend Steve Manfredi. Steve, thank you for talking with us today.
Hi Beck, how are you?
Oh, it's such a privilege to be here.
Welcome.
3 generations of my family have eaten at Stefano's restaurants, and I know 3 generations of his family, so it's a very great privilege. Chef, you're from the north of Italy, from Lombardy. What kind of food do you have there, and how's that influenced your...
Well, it was interesting. I've just recently come back from there. I took a tour of Australians to Lombardia and specifically to Franciacorta, and we spent part of it in my area, in my province, which is Brescia. Brescia is the second largest city after Milan. The food can't be any different. It was incredible. The Alta Bresciana is heavier, it's richer, obviously because it's colder. So lots of, even when they do the polenta, which is a staple of that part of Italy, up in the Alta Bresciana, it's richer. They put, mountain cheese in it and whisk it up, and
all the good things to keep you warm.
All the good things to keep you warm, and and in my part of Brescia, we do very simple polenta. It's just the taste of the corn, and then we add things to them to put on top. So you can put, a typical dish is funghi trifolati with polenta. So it's wild mushrooms with polenta, and we do the wild mushrooms with, braise them in with white wine, parsley, garlic, that sort of thing. We also do polenta with ossobuco.
Yum, yes, I've had that from you.
Yeah, ossobuco is one of the dishes from my part of Italy. And when I was there, we also had spiedo, because I was with Alessandro Pavoni.
Yes.
He's from the Alta Bresciana, so he's from the mountains. And
so that's the spit.
We did the spit, the traditional Bresciano spit, and it's got lots of different meats and little birds and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. But it gets done over 5 or 6 hours.
Yes.
And it just gets caramelised, and it gets basted repeatedly with butter and red wine, and it just, at the end of it, it's just fantastic. And the Australians we took over who tried this were just knocked out.
My favourite Christmas dish, the pumpkin
tortelli.
Is that from?
That's from our part of, yes. Yeah? That's from our part of the Bassa Bresciana.
So I remember watching on Twitter, you actually reduce the pumpkin right down and squeeze all the water out of it. And then it's got a sage butter or something.
Sage butter, but the pumpkin stuffing gets made with the kernels of apricots mashed up, and that gives it that bitter almond flavour. Mustard fruits, which are traditional from that part of Italy.
Ah, that's where that gorgeous flavour comes from.
Yeah, so it's a sweet and sour type thing. And then it's all about the quality of the pasta. It's because it's the way that you do it. It's done on a square. You put the stuffing in the middle, and then you turn it several times. So it almost looks like a lolly. A wrap lolly. Yeah,
it's beautiful to look at and to taste. And talking about pasta, my favourite dish of all time, I think I wrote that, which is a very big call, was something that you cooked for me at Pretty Beach House. Do you remember what dish it was that with the truffles? Obviously it was a truffle dinner, and the egg yolk in the raviolo.
Yes. Yeah, that's it's basically an egg yolk that's put in between 2 pasta sheets. You have to make it with very, very fresh eggs, and luckily up at Bell's we have our own hens, so basically they lay the eggs and we use them pretty much the same day. And the egg yolk needs to be really firm and really fresh, because once you put it in between the 2 pasta sheets and then pinch it around to seal it, you can lose the egg because it'll just collapse. Once you've lost that egg, if the egg yolk breaks, then you have to sort of throw it
I
away.
want it to be me that breaks the yolk. When I remember you standing beside me when I had that dish, cutting it open, waiting to see my look as the egg yolk ran everywhere from inside the pasta. It was amazing.
Well, that was a truffle dinner that we did there, and Australian truffles, Australian black truffles, and it's one of the things that truffles go so well with. Two things: pasta and egg.
Beautiful. And you've been at the forefront of actually kitchen gardens and fresh produce with Bells. When you were talking about the hens, because I think your dad's a gardener, so you got some cooking from one side and gardening from the other.
Well, scratch beneath the surface of any Italian and you'll probably find a gardener. So it's there.
I can come and eat at Balla or at Bells and experience your wonderful food, but if I'm cooking Italian at home or Northern Italian at home, what are your tips? What's the things that are important to have in my kitchen?
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, Italian food really doesn't exist as one amorphous mass. It's a lot of regional dishes, and even in the regions, for example, that tortelli dish, each family does it differently. So that's what keeps Italian food moving on, and it's about the quality of ingredients that you buy, which make Italian food so popular. It's really not a complex cuisine, but it's very difficult to get right because it's so simple. There's nothing to hide behind. So my tip for people is to use seasonal ingredients and the best that they can. Now, once you do that as the ingredients that you're cooking, you then need to look at extra virgin olive oil, balsamic vinegar, wine vinegars, your cheeses, Parmesan, both Parmigiano Reggiano and Grana Padano. They're two very different cheeses. Grana Padano is it's still one of the Grana cheeses like Parmesan, but it's less aged and less piquant. So it's probably the all-rounder for cooking with. And then you've got things like Bottarga, etc., etc. But once you start using an olive oil, don't just use one olive oil. Get maybe 2 or 3 in your pantry, because they're all different from each region of Italy. The northern ones are much more delicate. The central ones are probably the more balanced. And the southern ones are the ones that really give you oomph. So, if you're using an Italian olive oil or using an Australian olive oil, get some that are very, very different in structure. So, if you've got a delicate seafood salad, use a delicate oil. If you want something with a bit of guts...
So you're balancing the flavour?
Yes, yeah. And the same with vinegar. I mean, we must use 5 or 6 different vinegars in the kitchen here. Be careful about using balsamic vinegar to dress everything. It's very, very assertive. You will drown a lot of things.
It's like me.
You'll drown a lot of things, and I see it all the time. People now have exchanged red wine vinegar and white wine vinegar with balsamic vinegar, and it's a very, very big flavour. So try the wine vinegars as well. Even apple cider vinegar. I love apple cider vinegar.
Steve, thanks very much for having us here. It's always a great pleasure catching up, and always a great pleasure eating in your restaurants as well as talking with you.
It's my pleasure, Beck.